the first chapter of the book, Fiqhul Adab, Understanding the Ethics, is to teach us the ethics in Islam. Ethics is about how things should be done. Our relationship with Allah, our relationship with the Prophet, our relationship with human beings, different categories of human beings. We have been looking at preambles that are relevant. Now, we are moving to the first chapter. The first chapter, we flipped away some pages that has to do with grammar of what al-adab means, the meaning of ethics, grammatically. I flipped through the pages because it may not be relevant, because we are not students of language. So we move to the part of chapter 1 that is telling us Ahamiyatul Adab fi Hayatil Muslim, the importance of ethics in the life of a Muslim, wa turuk iktisabihi, and the ways to attain adab. You need ethics. You need to know how things must be done in Islam. Qala al-Imam Ibn Qayyim, one of the predecessors that we respect much in the Shari'atul Islam is Imam Ibn Qayyim al-Jawzi. He said, Adabul mar'i unwanu sa'adatihi wa fala'ihi. The ethics that a person imbibe in his life, how you do things in your life. Let me digress a bit. Do you know that your relationship with people, the acceptance that people give to you, will have to do with your personal habits? And that personal habit is ethics. For instance, you are in the midst of people. You start playing with your nails, your fingernails. It's your personal nails. You don't disturb anybody. But ordinary sound that you give will irritate somebody. And the person will not even like to sit with you. As we are in the mosque, you yarn time to time while people are close to you without closing your mouth. Each minute, some people will be irritated. It's part of habit, which is ethics that you need to control. These are just most common ones. By the time we go through this, you realize that Islam has taught us everything, but we don't know. Those are examples. Body odor, you don't control it. It's part of habit and ethics that can distance you away from people. So these are just examples on human, man-to-man relationship. The same thing applies to your relationship with Allah. You will think you are doing your Islam the way it should be, but you are not ethical. You are not following the Islamic ethics. We have lots to understand here. That is why Ibn Qayyim is telling us that Adabul Mari'i, the ethics that somebody has, the habit that somebody imbibes, unwanu sa'adatihi, is an indication of the success of the person in life. The habit you have, how ethical you are, will determine your success in life. وَفَلَائِهِ, and your achievement, your attainment. I want to tell you that when we say success in this life, it's different from success with Allah. It's different from success in the hereafter. For you to be successful here, you must not be a Muslim. What people see as success in this life is not about you being religious. It's about you attaining success of life. So when we are treating, Islam is about this life and the hereafter. So when we are talking about this life, we are talking about things you will do to succeed in this life. When we get to the topic of things you will do to succeed in the hereafter, is another thing. So when we are here, don't expect that to be successful in this life, we will tell you that you must be praying day and night. That is another thing. It's between you and Allah, and that will give you success in the hereafter. For instance, when the Prophet was mentioning certain things that will show that somebody is successful, he said, Arba'atu min alamati sa'adati al-mar'i fi dunya. 4 things are indicating that somebody is successful in this life. He mentioned when you have a righteous wife, when you have a good wife, you are successful in this life. He mentioned when you have a building that is wide and spacious. He mentioned it. He mentioned when you have a ride that is pleasant, that will take you everywhere and you can be proud of it. When the Prophet is mentioning house and ride, is it about the hereafter? You may have those things and you are an enemy of Allah. Allah will not be unjust when you work for success in this life and say because you don't pray, He will not give you. He will give you. He's general. His mercy in this life is general. Everybody that works for success in this life will get it. Then, when you now ask us, what is this life? بَلْ تُؤْثِرُونَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى. You may be struggling for this life, but hereafter is better. That is why Allah is teaching us in Surah Al-Baqarah that when you pray, say, رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً. Because hereafter, khairun wa abqa. Hereafter is better and is lasting. This life is not lasting. It will end very soon. But you need to work for it on its own way. So please, when we talk about success in this life, it's not about religion. It's about what are you doing? What business are you doing? How good are you relating with people? What is the type of relationship you have with people? How critical do you think? And all those things. They are factors for your success in this life. And that is what Ibn Qayyim is saying here. That unwanu sa'adat al-mar'i wa fala'ihi fi dunya al-adab. You must have ethics for you to be successful here. You must have good habits. So, wa qillatu adabihi unwanu shaqawatihi wa bawarihi. That when you are not having good habits, when you are poor in ethics, is an indication of your misfortune in this life, according to Ibn Qayyim, who is one of our predecessors that we respect much. فَمَسْتُجْلِبْ خَيْرُ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ بِمِثْلِ الْأَدَبِ. There is nothing that guides you to have success in your worldly life like good ethics, like habits, having standard habits, relationship with different categories of beings, Allah, human beings, friends, and all those things. وَلَا اسْتُجْلِبَ حُرْمَانَهَا بِمِثْلِ قِلَّةِ الْأَدَبِ. And there is nothing that denies you success in this life like when you don't have good habits. When you don't know how to relate with people. Some people will say it proudly. I don't deal with anybody. I go to my house, I wake up, no problem. Anything will happen to you and one day you'll be shouting, nobody will attend to you. You must be able to relate well with every category. Your Lord, your religion, your prophet, your friends, your family, both Muslims and non-Muslims. That is what we call ethics. And that is what we call habits. Fanzur ila al-adab ma'al walidain. For example, look at the ethics with the two parents. The author is taking our minds to the ethics that we should have with our two parents. كيف نجا صاحبه من حبس الجار حين أطبقت عليهم الصخرة. Is giving us example of the hadith that the Prophet mentioned 3 people that were, enclaved inside a cave. They were moving, and there was rain, and they tried to hide in a cave, and the cave closed on them, and they were to get out of the cave. One of them suggested, let us start telling Allah something we have done that we believe Allah will consider it to release us from this danger that we are. The author is now taking our mind to one of the 3 people. He said he served his parents very well. There was even a day he went out to work so that he can feed the parents. And when he came back home, the 2 of them were asleep, and he was carrying milk, the camel milk, for them so that they would drink as their dinner, because they didn't take a lunch. He went out looking for food. So the children were crying, but he didn't attend to them because he believed he must serve the parents before them. And he was sitting down near them carrying the milk, but he didn't want to wake them up. So he was waiting for them to wake, that until they wake and they drink their own milk before he will now give the children, before he will now drink. And where he was sitting down, he was there throughout the night until they eventually woke. And they were pleased with this action, and they were very happy with him. He now said, "Oh Allah, if that thing that I have done was right, and you are happy with me for that which I did, let this cave open." And the cave opened. So what are we saying here? It was an ethics between him and the parent. He doesn't need to read it from the Quran. He doesn't need to read it from the Hadith. What is good, everybody knows it. So the author is giving reference to that. Is that not an indication of success in this life, that he did the right thing between him and the 2 parents? وَالْإِخْلَالِ بِهِ مَعَ الْأُمِّ تَأْوِيلًا وَإِقْبَالًا عَلَى الصَّلَاةِ كَيْفَ امْتُحِنَ صَاحِبُهُ بِهَدْمِ سُمْعَتِهِ. And somebody that was praying, that after the obligatory prayer, he was doing nafila, and the mother was calling him, and he refused to answer the mother. The Prophet mentioned to us that he has offended Allah. The obligatory salat is for Allah. The nafila you are embarking on is for you to add more. And when you are doing it, your mother is calling you. You have to break it and meet your mother. It's just like a woman that is doing nafila tatawwa in reference to fasting. If a woman is fasting and the husband says, "I need you," is an ethics that you should break that fast. In the first place, you must not fast when it's not obligatory, when it's not Ramadan, that you just wake up as a woman, "I want to fast today." You must not without the permission of your husband. It's ethics. Allah is releasing certain things for us so that we relate well with ourselves. Allah is overlooking certain things. Allah is, relinquishing certain things so that you people can have good relationship. So this is to tell us that in our process of serving Allah, we must understand that Allah values ethics among ourselves. So those are examples. وَتَأَمَّلْ أَحْوَالِ كُلِّ شَقِيٍّ وَمُغْتَرٍ وَمُدْبِرٍ. The author said, consider the habit of anyone that is not having success in this life. He said, anybody around you that is misfortune, that is abandoned by people, that is not enjoying himself, that is not having good relationship with people, that people always leave him alone. The author is guiding us to go and watch the habit of people like that. كيف تجد قلة الأدب هي التي ساقته إلى الحرمان. You will notice that when you don't have adab, you will be led to such misfortune. So adab is very important. Wanzur adab as-siddiq is now giving us a positive example. Now look at the example of the ethics of Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Ma'a Nabiyyi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, the way he related with the Prophet, may Allah's blessing be upon him. Fi salat an yataqaddama bayna yadayhi. When he will never pray, he will never take steps in anything, including salat, without seeing the Prophet doing it. Faqala, and he said, Ma kana yanbaghi libni Abi Quhafa an yataqaddama bayna yaday Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Abu Bakr will now say, who am I that will do anything before the messenger of Allah? Whatever they want to engage on, Abu Bakr will always say the Prophet should do first before him. Kayfa awrasa'u maqamahu wa imamatahu bil umma ba'dahu. And look at how that has made him the first Khalifa, and how that has led him to become the Imam for the people after the Prophet. Sayyidina Abu Bakr was preferred among all other Sahaba because of his adab with the Prophet. He was the most senior one among the notable Sahaba. He was the first person to accept Islam. He was the first person that the Prophet sent to lead people in Hajj. Yet, he will always be humble to the Prophet and will always drag himself back. And the Prophet will be dragging him front. You are an elderly person, come front, do this. It is beyond the son of Abi Quhafa to do anything without your permission. You can go front, sir. The two of them about to enter a room. The Prophet say, Abu Bakr, enter now. You are an elderly person. No, you are our Prophet. Please enter. That is why sometimes the Imam, the one Imam will tell one Imam, go to say, Bismillah, Bismillah. Even though other people who may not know the ethics, what is all this now? Somebody should go front now. What they are trying to do is adab, and that is ethics. And that is what Abu Bakr did with the Prophet. And that's why the Prophet preferred him. And that's why the Prophet later praised him. And all those indications made people to know that he should be the Khalifa after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ethics is very important. So, كيف أورثه مقامه والإمامة بالأمة بعده؟ فكان ذلك التأخر إلى خلفه. So that is because he will always drag himself back, but that habit now put him forward. وقد أومى إليه أن أثبت مكانه جمسا وسعيا إلى قدام بكل خطوة إلى وراء مراحل إلى قدام تنقطع فيها أعناق المتي والله أعلم. So this is an indication that success in this life is in your hand. The attitude that you have is an indication of where you get to. The fact that you don't sleep throughout the night does not make you what you want in this life without good habits. It may give you Jannah in the hereafter. It will give you Firdaus in the hereafter. But in this life, despite that you pray, regardless of your relationship with Allah, you must also follow the injunctions of Allah in the way you relate with people. It's habit. And this is what the author is telling us this morning.